You know that feeling, right? That spark, that pull you feel towards someone, and you can't quite explain it. It's one of the most basic human things there is. But what's really driving it? Well, it turns out it's this wild mix of ancient programming, the social world we live in, and our own personal history. So let's dive in and start to unravel this whole thing.
I mean, really, what is it that makes us look across a room and feel something for one person and nothing for another? Is it a conscious choice we make? Is it just some random shot of brain chemistry? Or could it be that we're all just acting out a script that was written for us thousands and thousands of generations ago? Today, we're going to unpack the psychology of attraction and find out. All right, to really get who we choose today, we've got to go way, way back to the beginning. We're talking about the evolutionary pressures that shaped our ancestors, pressures that, believe it or not, still whisper in our ears today. This is what we call our primal programming.
So, a huge concept in evolutionary psychology is something called parental investment theory. It's actually pretty simple when you break it down. It says that because females have a much higher biological investment in having a kid, pregnancy, nursing, all of it, they've evolved to be way more selective about who they partner with. Males, on the other hand, with less of that initial investment, evolved to compete more for access. This one difference sets up two totally different game plans for attraction. And this leads to some pretty clear, kind of predictable differences in what the sexes tend to prioritize in a long-term partner. Evolutionary theory suggests that men, who are kind of wired for reproductive success, tend to look for signs of fertility, things like youth and health. Women, on the other hand, tend to prioritize signs that a partner can provide resources and stability. Why? Well, it helps make sure their kids will be safe and thrive. What's fascinating is how this ancient theory still pops up in modern dating advice. I mean, just look at this quote from a viral video. This isn't just a random opinion someone cooked up. It's basically a perfect modern-day summary of parental investment theory. It really hammers home that idea that for a lot of women, dating is about way more than just looks. It's about finding a partner who offers security.
Okay, so that's our deep history, but obviously we're not living in the Stone Age anymore. We have to navigate this really complex social world, which a lot of psychologists call a mating marketplace. And yeah, it's got its own set of rules. So we might all dream about dating a celebrity or a supermodel, right? But the reality is, most of us operate by something called the matching hypothesis. It means we kind of subconsciously size up our own mating value, our looks, our status, our intelligence, the whole package. And then we go looking for partners who are pretty much in the same league. So it's not really about finding a perfect 10, it's about finding someone who's a 10 for us. And you know what? The data backs this up in a huge way. This isn't just about looks. We're talking about massive studies looking at millions of couples. It's called assortative mating, and they show that we consistently, almost magnetically, pair up with people who are strikingly similar to us. I mean, across the board, our political and religious views, our level of education, even our habits around things like drinking. It's almost like we're all looking for a mirror of ourselves. So to put it simply, the traditional mating marketplace kind of runs on this invisible social physics. We adjust our expectations, and we make our choices based on a pretty realistic assessment of who we are and who we can actually attract. But what happens when you throw a massive technological wrench into that whole system? And this is where things get really interesting and, frankly, a little complicated. The explosion of dating apps and social media hasn't just changed how we meet people, it's fundamentally messing with the old rules of attraction and choice. I mean, think about it. Online, everybody is presenting this highly polished, curated, best of the best version of themselves. This can totally warp our perception of their value and even our own. And instead of that real-world feedback loop, face-to-face interaction, the chance of rejection that keeps our expectations grounded, apps let us just swipe and swipe. This encourages a lot of us to aim higher, to pursue people who might be way outside our realistic range, which totally disrupts the whole idea of the matching hypothesis. Okay, so we've looked at the evolutionary forces from our deep, deep past and the social forces of today. But there's one more layer to peel back, and honestly, it might be the most powerful one of all. It's the blueprint that was created in your own childhood. This is your inner compass. Attachment theory, which was developed by a psychiatrist named John Bowlby, is a total game changer for understanding relationships. The core idea is that the way we connected with our parents or caregivers as babies, whether we felt safe and seen and soothed, that experience doesn't just fade away.
It gets baked into us. It becomes a subconscious blueprint for how we expect love to work for the rest of our lives. So how does this happen? Through something called our internal working models. Just think of them as these mental maps we build based on our very first relationships. And deep down, these maps shape our answers to two of life's most fundamental questions. First, am I worthy of love? And second, can I depend on other people? And the answers we form as little kids often end up guiding the partners we're drawn to as adults. Now, a really important idea here is the secure base. When a caregiver is consistently there for you, responsive and available, they become this source of safety. And this security doesn't make a kid clingy. It actually does the total opposite. It gives them the confidence to go out and explore the world, because they know deep down that they have a safe harbor to return to if things get scary or overwhelming. You can actually visualize this as the circle of security. A child goes out on the circle to explore, to play, to learn new things, but they always know they can come back in for comfort, for help with their feelings, for a little reassurance. And every single time they complete that circuit, their confidence and their resilience just grows and grows. This healthy cycle becomes the foundation for secure, trusting relationships later in life. So we've got our evolutionary script and our personal psychological script. The big question is, are we just stuck with them? Well, this final part of our explainer is all about how we can take this knowledge and actually use it to build better relationships. And the answer is a huge, resounding no. Our past definitely influences us, but it does not have to be our destiny. The real key here, the big takeaway, is that by understanding your own attachment patterns, those internal working models, you suddenly have the power to consciously change them. You can actually learn to build the security for yourself that maybe you didn't get as a kid. One of the most effective ways to do this is through something called emotionally focused therapy, or EFT. It's a type of therapy for couples and individuals too that is built directly on the foundation of attachment theory. The whole goal is to help people see the subconscious patterns that are driving their fights and create new, more secure ways of connecting with each other. The very first stage of EFT is all about cycle de-escalation. So first, a therapist helps a couple see the toxic pattern they get stuck in. That same fight you have over and over again. Then, they help you dig underneath all the anger and frustration to find the more vulnerable emotions and attachment fears that are really driving the conflict. And then comes the big aha moment, the final step, reframing the problem. It's no longer you versus me, it becomes us versus this negative cycle. And that simple shift in perspective can change everything. So, all of this really brings the focus right back to you. When you think about who you're attracted to, your patterns in relationships, fights you have, what blueprint do you see at work? Is it that ancient script of evolution, the social rules of the dating market, or is it that deep personal map that was drawn in your childhood? At the end of the day, the psychology of attraction teaches us that while our choices are definitely shaped by some incredibly powerful forces, they're not set in stone. Our biology and our biography, they write the first draft of our love stories. But we're the ones holding the pen, and we always have the power to write the next chapter.